If you've recently started a new business or website, you're probably wondering how to have your website show up in Google's seemingly mythical search engine results page. Now, SEO can get pretty complicated, but luckily there are plenty of free resources that you can use to get started on optimizing your website today. The first tool we're going to look at is SEO Site Checkup. That's at seositecheckup.com, and this is a technical auditing tool to see if your website is optimized from a technical standpoint. Now, we're going to do all of our audits based off of the website of one of my favorite restaurants in Calgary called Worst. Now, ironically, Worst has one of the worst websites I've ever seen. As you can see, it's broken. Like, there's a PHP error. You have the menu hovering over the logo. The hours of operations are illegible, among many other things. So I ran worst.ca through SEO Site Checkup, and we can see that it gave us a score of 65 out of 100. Now, what SEO Site Checkup does is it checks your website against many different parameters, such as here we can see that the meta title is worst home. Now, this is seen as a green check mark because, well, it's only checking the length, and so we can see the length is below 13 characters, and there's a maximum of 70 available. So this is green, but this is also not a very acceptable title tag. So definitely take these with a grain of salt, as sometimes you will get false positives, and so you have to use critical thinking to determine whether or not something is actually green or actually red. And we can see that the meta description tag is missing. We can see that there are no keywords found in the title tag. In fact, like, the most common keywords are today, feature, night, reservations, and hours. Probably not the keywords you want to focus on for a German restaurant. And we can see headings. We can see that the website lacks a sitemap file. The webpage is using image tags with empty or missing alt attributes, among many other things. And so definitely run your website through this. One thing to note is that SEO Site Checkup is a paid service. However, it is free for up to one audit per day. So if you're only managing one website, well, then this is absolutely fantastic. So run your website through here, see what you can improve. Just note that some of these will be false positives or false negatives, and try to use your noggin to determine whether or not things actually need fixing. The next tool we're going to look at is called Ubersuggest, and it can be found at neilpatel.com/Ubersuggest. And this is a backlink analysis tool. Do note that it is far from the best backlink analysis tool available, but it's the only one that's free. If you really want a backlink analysis tool that has a far more sophisticated database and has far more results, then I recommend something like Ahrefs or SEMrush or Moz. However, those will cost you roughly $45 a month. And so Ubersuggest is a nice alternative. Let's go ahead and type in our favorite website, worst.ca, and it's going to scan its database for instances of backlinks. All right, so we can see that worst.ca ranks for 614 organic keywords. Ubersuggest suggests that there is, on average, 1,215 visits from organic traffic a month. It's giving the site a domain score of 26 and detects 1,331 backlinks. Now, always take this number of backlinks with a grain of salt. Usually, if you run the same website through Ahrefs, for example, you'll get 3 to 4 times the amount of backlinks. And that's just because they have a larger database and they have a more sophisticated web crawler. And so they're able to detect far more than what's really there. So definitely take these numbers with a grain of salt. Always take organic monthly traffic. Actually, I would ignore this altogether because you can always check your website against Google Analytics and you'll see that these never match up. And so this metric should be largely ignored. And we can see tiered rankings on a monthly basis. We can see the top pages by country. You can see the top SEO keywords. And so if you want just a basic summary data to see your backlink profile, then I definitely recommend this tool if you don't feel like shelling out $45 a month on Ahrefs or Moz. Now, of course, if you want to see the individual backlinks, you can always click on backlinks here, and you can see the actual locations of the websites that are linking back to you. So we can see with this backlink in particular, worst.ca is getting a link from eventbrite.ca, nerdnight34, whatever that is. We've got another one from convinceandconvert.com. So yeah, this is fantastic for getting a rough idea on who's linking to your website. And of course, if you want to see more, then you'll want to create an account through Ubersuggest. So definitely recommend doing that if you want some general backlink information. The last tool we're going to look at is Screaming Frog, and this is probably the most useful tool that you can have in your SEO tool belt. And what Screaming Frog is an SEO spider, and what that means is it's going to scan your entire website and pull a bunch of parameters for every single URL that it can find on your website. So let's plug in worst.ca again, and it's going to start a scanning process. Now, it's going to go a lot faster if you have a decent CPU or if the website has very few pages. So we can see it's already done, and that's because worst.ca only actually has 123 URLs attached to it. Now, if you take a look at all these URLs, you'll see that some of them are text/HTML pages, some of them represent images or text/CSS. And so I always like to filter it by HTML just so we get only the actual pages that matter. And as we can see, we only have 10 pages on Worst's website. And so we can see that almost every single page gets a 200 access code. They're indexable. And most importantly, we're able to see the title tags that are associated with all those pages. So here's that Worst home title tag that we saw when we did the SEO Site Checkup audit. You can see the contact page title, and you can see that these titles are definitely far better than this title tag. And we can also see the meta descriptions. These are pretty weak and or non-existent. We can always see the length of them, as well as many other parameters. So definitely take advantage of this one. It is free for up to 500 URLs. So if you do have a larger website, you are going to be limited. But luckily, Screaming Frog only costs around $100 a year for a subscription. And so I definitely think it's worth it, especially if you plan on doing audits for multiple websites. But again, if you have a really simple website, it's fairly small, and you believe that it's under 500 URLs, then definitely download it. You can use it for free, and it's probably the most useful tool that you can use. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed learning about the 3 free tools that you can use to jumpstart your SEO efforts. And if you ever want to learn more, please check out Jelly Academy. We are a digital marketing school based out of the Fraser Valley, and we do offer both online classes and in-person consultations if you want a more thorough explanation of SEO or Google ads or even Facebook ads. And so check us out, and yeah, good luck on your SEO efforts.